Jerry the King Lawler, and you're tuned in to the Don Tony and Kevin Castle Show. I don't know why you are, but you are.
Amazing, says some guy. These men have changed broadcasting forever. The Don Tony and Kevin Castle Show.
Did you hear Roman Reigns? Yaki-da, huh? You get it, Kev?
Oh, yeah, just, I can't afford Skype. The baseball analogy.
Yeah, Kev, I just think with Yaki-da, I don't speak Japan, and you f***ing people.
Oh, yeah, just, you, DT.
What do you think about that, Kev?
Oh, well, Batista's pretty f***ing sexy, and, did I mention Roman Reigns gives me a boner? And, 1980s baseball and wrestling was better than anything else.
DonTony.com.
Yeah, that was me.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Monday night, July 27th, 2020. Welcome to this edition of the Don Tony and Kevin Castle Show. I am Don Tony, as always, and joining along with me is...
hot and sweaty Kev Castle, and I'm sorry I had to say that, but it's pretty hot and sweaty around here.
Yeah, it's we're in the middle of a heat wave, and as long as we don't get the torrential downpours, I'm actually fine with it. Can't complain.
Oh, you like it like this?
No, I don't like it like this, but the torrential downpours is what makes it a problem. The internet goes out, the power goes out.
Yeah.
Last Friday, my this room over here got flooded a little bit through the air conditioner. So,
really?
Yeah. By the way, a few people are saying that my mic sounds weird. Hold on a second. What's up over here? Because I changed the cable before. Hold on a second. No, I changed the cable before.
Sounds fine.
Somebody saying, is it my mic? Whose mic is popping? Whose mic is popping? Is it yours? All right, I sound like a robot? All right, hang on a second. Let's do this. This is what happens when I change settings, show to show. Hang on, everybody. Let's do this.
Sounds fine to me.
All right, how's this? Let me know how this is, everybody. Switch the lines, so there's like a 5-second delay. Let me see. Oh, better. Nope.
Yeah, sounds good.
Teen says nope. Hold on.
This one's saying sounds fine.
Still not good. All right, let's do this. Got to keep changing things. Hang on, everybody. That should fix the problem. Let's see how this goes. All right, let's see. See, I got... nope, still bad.
Everybody's saying it sounds fine.
No. I sound like I'm in a frog. No, this is... it can't be. It just can't be. Hold on. Much better? All right, okay, everybody says it's good. Well, you know what it is, everyone. As you can see, I'm using a different stand now. Yesterday, I did breakfast soup, had to manipulate all of the laptop settings because Discord audio feeds into the mixer, which feeds into the computer, which feeds into YouTube, and it gets really, really tedious sometimes of, compensating different forms of audio. That's why, like I said, 2021, there'll be one audio source going forward, and we'll eliminate these problems. But I thank everybody for dealing with this for a minute or two. Sound is good. You know what? It's probably the fucking cable wire that I got. Look, I'm trying to make the aesthetics look a little bit better, and unfortunately, it gets a little bit screwed up at times. But anyway, Got a nice show to get into today. As I was preparing for the synopsis, it seemed like there's a boatload of people talking about people. I see all these podcasters now starting to chime in about Joey Ryan, Micah Elgin's latest denials. Then you got Bruce Prichard and Nick Aldis going at it a little bit. You got AJ Styles throwing some interesting comments towards Vince Russo and Dixie Carter. We'll talk about all of those later on. But before I go any further, I just wanted to announce some winners to some prizes, because that's what everybody is here about for more reasons than one. But this was something I was giving away last Wednesday. This was the autographed photo signed by Chris Jericho and the Lucha Brothers. It is Beckett authenticated. And what I had everybody do on YouTube was just use the hashtag WND, for abbreviation for Wednesday Night Dynamite. I guess people didn't realize that the photo was going to be this big. It's an oversized, what is it, 16 by 20 or whatever? So what I did, just to experiment, is I used new software for the contest. And what it does is it takes everybody's comments from Wednesday's show that use the hashtag Wednesday Night Dynamite, and it randomly picked the winner. So I know some of you out there already know who won. This will be about 35 seconds, but you will actually see in real time the winner actually picked for this contest. All right, sorry about the corny music, but I had to use that so we don't get flagged for copyright usage. But Rick Stone, congratulations, my friend. I've actually been wanting to shout you out for a little while, but hey, computer picked you. So definitely either PM me on Twitter or email me, dontony@dontony.com. You get the signed photo. This Wednesday, I don't want to reveal it yet, but you know, it's going to be a really cool prize. That's all I'm going to say. Also on Patreon, Ray Gomez, you won the Extreme Rules Predictions Contest. And Montez Sesley, what school did you go to? Freddie J, the Con Man, Amzo, and Eric L. They all tied for second, so I decided to give all of the second place winners a consolation prize. So I got into it more in detail on Breakfast Soup yesterday. You could check out that episode for all the details. And Daniel-san, you got the bobblehead, so make sure everybody gets in touch with me, and we'll do some more giveaways later this week. So, Raw's off the air, Kev. What'd you think?
I like to say I liked it, but everyone's saying how much it sucked. I'm like, am I missing something? I thought it was not bad. I mean, we had some good quality matches with Sasha and Asuka. It was kind of a fuck finish. I mean, with the losing the title on a count out, but whatever. And I thought Ali and Lashley had a great match. I mean, I thought it's better than it's been. I'll say that much. But again, I don't have to go by what everybody says, but it is weird. Everyone's like, sucked, Raw's horrible, another loser tonight. I'm like, no one's saying anything good about it, which I find weird. I'm curious to get your take on, did you think there was some highlights at least tonight?
I thought Ali and Lashley had a great match.
Yeah, me too.
You know, I tell you, I enjoy Raw. I enjoy AEW, NXT, and SmackDown when I don't sit on social media while I'm watching it. Because right away, you get all the complaints. Oh, Ali comes back with a bang last week. He wins one match, and it's right back to where... I mean, no disrespect for anybody out there. Lashley is a monster. Yeah. Ali is smaller, and I know, you know, you could try to use those stereotypes, but it really was a case of David versus Goliath. But he lasted 11 minutes. I don't get it. Sometimes on AEW, I see people bitching and complaining when someone takes Kenny Omega for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Why does Mark Anthony is that horrible singer. I don't remember. Some blah, blah, blah Anthony from AEW. I mean, come on, man. He had an 11-minute match with Lashley. It was great. Came up a little bit short. He doesn't lose any stock right now. I don't know if they're going to push Ali, but they had a great match. The Kairi Sane write-off with Asuka, I mean, who knows? Maybe she will be around for another week or two. I don't know. Right. But, you know, I don't like the count-out finish for Sasha being the champion. I fear
not to lose a title. Not to lose a title. No, I mean to win a title. No.
Yeah, I don't like the count-out finish. I mean, I actually said this about 3 or 4 weeks ago that you know, wouldn't it be something if WWE puts all the women's championships on Sasha and Bailey, with the exception of NXT, and they've actually done it. And if people remember, a couple of weeks ago, I said this could go in one of two directions. Either Sasha Banks ends up getting screwed in some way, not intentionally by Bailey, but by accident, and this leads to the fallout at SummerSlam, or the other way they could go is some friendly competition. I got 2 belts, you got 2 belts. I don't want to see titles versus titles. I don't even want 1 week suspension of disbelief that some woman or man could walk out with 4 belts. This isn't Ultimo Dragon. You know, I mean, was it Ultimo Dragon or Jushin? No, Ultimo Dragon. Or Jushin Thunder Liger had all the belts. I don't remember. It was one of those two. But I don't know. I just I was fearing that they would all have the belts. They have all the belts now. And, you know, what does this say about all of the other women on the roster? That they are really not, you know, I don't know. I mean, you know, they're both dos straps, 2 belts, Sasha 2 belts, Banks. You know, is this going to be Sasha Bailey dos lowest ratings of all time? Are we going to have the lowest and second lowest ratings of all time? Thank you, Jeremiah. Ultimo Dragon. You know, they're the top women in the company next to Asuka. And Kairi Sane is leaving. But I don't like them holding all the belts. Because them holding all the belts creates a new storyline. For some people, they may like it. But for me, who pries in? Who breaks through and starts causing this dissension? I mean, I think both of them as double champions will only last maybe a month, if that. But I almost feel now SummerSlam might be friendly competition. No belts on the line. You know, let's see who's the better champion. And then even with that, you know, that may end up in a clusterfuck.
Can you envision somehow this involving Tessa Blanchard as an appearance at SummerSlam?
No. Because Tessa Blanchard, although she was the Impact Wrestling Heavyweight Champion, and although a lot of people on social media knows who she is, if she was brought into the company, she would be brought in at most. They may hype her up like they did for Mercedes Martinez. But this isn't going to be like, you know, Lex Luger showing up on the first episode of Nitro. What is he doing here? Like, you know, it's not going to be that they're going to pan the camera on her and they're going to be like, Tessa Blanchard, what is she doing here? The WWE Universe, I honestly think a large amount of them either don't know who Tessa Blanchard is, don't give a shit who Tessa Blanchard is, or who is angry at Tessa Blanchard because of what happened with La Rosa Negra. They have a lot of women in NXT. They have Bianca Belair. They have a lot of women.
Oh, that's true.
Shayna Baszler. I mean, they have a lot of women that are much higher on the food chain than Tessa Blanchard if she were to come in. And I honestly feel even if Tessa Blanchard were to sign, I think WWE would probably test her with a little bit of humble pie. You know, bring her down the size a little bit and make sure that her head is not as big as my ass, you know?
You're probably right.
So, but, you know, we'll see what happens. I mean, you know, a lot of people are trying to make that momentum towards Naomi. Let's see what happens Friday on SmackDown. Other than that, I mean, everything else tonight was a little bit uneventful. Humberto Carrillo having a decent match with Murphy. But what was this guy taking a shit before? When Aleister Black is getting almost his eye in storyline, ripped out from the steps. If anybody follows the storyline, Humberto Carrillo, Aleister Black came to the No! Aleister Black came to his rescue. Where was Humberto Carrillo coming to the rescue of Aleister Black?
I think he was getting a haircut because he looked like he had a haircut. So I don't know where he was, but Aleister Black, again, and someone made sense because I'm like, why is he getting beat up so often? And it has been since Heyman got released from his position, because I know Black was a Heyman guy. And I don't necessarily believe they punish the guys that the pre-booker had. I mean, if they see something with momentum, they're going to carry the ball with them. So I don't know if they're punishing Black, but he is getting beaten down an awful lot, isn't he, lately? This is like the third time he was left laying on the floor 3 weeks in a row. He comes to the rescue, but he's not really rescuing anybody. He makes it worse when he comes out.
It's almost like when there's a fire and somebody comes to rescue, I'll help, and he's got a water gun. You know what I mean? I mean, what is that going to do? I'll help. But, I don't underestimate what I said a couple of weeks ago, and I said it about 2 months ago as well.
Ruby Riott?
No. I don't underestimate the YouTube channel that him and Zelina Vega have. It's a nice channel. They have this channel called A to Z. It gives you a little insight on their lives, and it's a very nice channel. I definitely recommend everybody join and subscribe to it. But the problem is, and I tweeted this earlier and then I deleted it, and I'm like, look, I'm not going to just tweet once about Raw. I'll either tweet all night long or I don't tweet at all, but I look at it like this. They just did this on TV, whereas I, almost got ripped out of the socket because of the steps. Would not surprise me tomorrow to the day after there's a new video up with him and Zelina Vega on a YouTube channel, and they're shopping for bath salts, and they're shopping for a new comforter, and they're making eggs Benedict, and they're having coffee, and they're just talking about nice things, and his eye is going to be completely fucking fine. And again, I understand, it's been revealed that this is all scripted and choreographed. But I'm telling you, all other forms of entertainment, from movies to soap operas to, usually two people who are feuding at each other, or if there's a little storyline, they try not to clash it with social media stuff. And, I honestly think, and I know some people thought I was nuts when I said it last week, but I'm going to repeat it again. You look at the date that Zelina Vega and Aleister Black launched their YouTube channel, which was a couple of months ago, not too long. You look at Aleister Black's push before that YouTube channel launched. You look at the push after the YouTube channel launched. He had so much mystique and aura. Yeah, it got goofy, him sitting in the hotel room with no lights on. Fight me, I'm looking for a fight. But you look at the dates. Maybe it's coincidence, maybe it's not. But it almost looks like as soon as they launched this channel, to see that Aleister Black is just a nice guy, dating Zelina Vega, and he's just a regular guy like everyone else, there went the mystique and aura.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. I people always say this, could you imagine if social media was around in the 90s?
During the Attitude Era, you mean?
Yeah, during the Attitude Era. Look, we had the internet from the mid-90s on, but for the most part, you didn't have the social media aspect of it until MySpace came around. But, wrestlers, even when it was revealed that it was sports entertainment, they usually tried to, keep the storylines going. Even we're going to get to a little tribute to Regis Philbin a little bit later. Even when wrestlers used to make appearances, from ravishing Rick Rude to the Ultimate Warrior to Diesel, and you go down the list. I mean, they usually would just, they would break a little character, but they would not go against the grain all that much, And
right.
I think his YouTube channel definitely has I don't think WWE could have been thrilled at all that they launched this channel. It's a way to make some money, not that much, but Just look at the dates. Just look at the dates before and after. And I think people will be amazed. You'll be amazed what you find. You look at his push about 2 weeks before that YouTube channel launched. Then you look at it 2 weeks after, and you tell me, is that coincidence? Is that Paul Heyman? Or is that WWE? Like, the fuck is this? We're building up this whole mystique and aura. You know, some people called him the next Undertaker. He's in the middle of the ring in a yoga position, and he's just looking at people. Remember he wrestled Denzel DeJournette, and he's looking at Aleister Black. Remember one of the first COVID matches? He's looking at him. He's like, what is he doing? What is he doing? Yeah. He like landed in the ring in a yoga position, and his opponent was all freaked out. Now he's just a regular latte guy with a YouTube channel.
So you think he fucked himself as much as the company's fucking it? It's just a combination clusterfuck between the two of them?
I think that WWE was not happy about that YouTube channel at all. I mean, they'll never say it publicly, right. But, you know, again, I invite anyone out there. I'm not going to do the work for everyone out there. It's very simple to do a couple of Google searches. Look at Aleister Black's storylines and pushes before they launched that YouTube channel, and then look at what happened after they launched the YouTube channel. Just look at what I'm talking about, and you'd be like, holy shit. Yeah, that's a little bit too coincidental. And it continues. It continues. You know? I want to see. His eyes all fucked up, and tomorrow he's going to be in fucking Starbucks ordering a vanilla latte. And his eyes going to be fine.
How does he come back from then? He's going to have to completely revamp his character. A lot of people were saying that. I was thinking about it too. I don't want to take credit for it. Just some people were saying that he probably would have made a good Messiah instead of Seth Rollins. He could have played that role.
It's possible, but the problem is his whole character was that he was a loner. So if he's the Monday Night Messiah and you needed a couple of lackeys to take some beatings, and also, you know, you got Seth Rollins, he comes across like a cult. Remember, like David Koresh or Jesus Christ, you know, people drinking the Kool-Aid, buying into that stuff. Aleister Black's whole gimmick was a lone wolf. Wouldn't have made sense. If he wasn't a lone wolf all that time, or if he started interacting with others and then did that, yeah, I could see it. But, you know, it didn't make sense with the character, to be honest. But, yeah, I mean, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, I'm just throwing a hunch out there. But, you know, I looked at it and I said, to me, it's too coincidental. I don't think it has anything to do with Paul Heyman leaving. Because Aleister Black was one of the, you know, top talents. My God, I mean, you know, they literally almost threw him off a building. You know, I mean, just, again, everyone just look before and after, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So,
well, and that whole thing that happened, I mean, we'll get back to the beginning of Raw, because they planted the seeds for what's supposed to happen, which is, and close the show, Randy Orton being #1 contender, which makes total sense. But I think Dominic comes out looking the coolest out of this. He was like hardcore, like beating the shit out of people. So that's good. He's not like, you know, they're showing that Dominic's tough. He doesn't need his father. He comes out on his own. He can stand on his own. So I think in that fight that they had at ringside with Murphy, Rollins, and Aleister and Dominic looked the best. I think Dominic came out looking the best.
They might end up doing Dominic versus Rollins, but I would almost think that they'll probably do something where Rollins says, you want to get to me, you have to go through Murphy. And, yeah, you know, who knows what's going on with Austin Theory. I mean, that, you know, that's an afterthought now. But, you know, usually if you have 2, 3, 4 people in your stable, you know, and you want to get to others to get to the head honcho, you know, imagine like a movie where, you know, you want to get to the fucking lead mob guy and fucking knock his ass out. Or even Rambo. Imagine if Rambo, or you could go Die Hard, do whatever you want. Imagine if they killed one person and then they got to the leader. Right. You know, I mean, the whole suspense is whacking this person. So now it's just, you get through Murphy, you can have me. So it takes away from the storyline a little bit. But I agree, Neil, right. They're killing Aleister Black. We'll talk about what Eric Young said later on as well, because I think Eric Young really sums it up. I mean, unless you want to just get into it now, you know, Eric Young.
We can go back and forth. Well, we can go this way, that way.
Yeah, Eric Young venting about his his release and him being back at Impact Wrestling. What did you think about what Eric Young had to say?
The only thing I didn't agree is that he put himself over pretty big time, saying it was like a major mistake by not going with him or pushing him. He actually didn't. I want to get the word, if someone can get the exact quote. It wasn't like, it's too bad what they did with me. It was like he was acting like he's a major player, and he's on in his years. He's in his early 40s. I mean, I like what he came from. We used to joke about, even on the beginnings of the old show, DT, about Eric Young all the time on Impact, because he was got all over the road with different characters. He was first in a suit and tie, and then he had some speech impediment. Then he was a manager. Then he was acting like Bugsy McGraw back. There's an old reference. Anybody doesn't know what that is? Back in Impact, he was all over the road. Then he became this kind of shooter, tough guy, and then he comes to WWF. He's Insanity, and he's this gang leader. So Eric Young has been all over the road in different types of characters. He can always talk. He had an interesting kind of voice and a cadence to his vocal. But I don't think he's a major player. I don't think they missed a major boat with him or something. I think they should have. I don't know why Sanity didn't work. I think in the annals of wrestling history, Sanity benefited one person, and that's Nikki Cross. Nikki benefited from Sanity. Nikki Cross is doing very well. I thought Nikki Cross was the fourth banana on that boat, so to speak, not because she's the female, but because I thought the other guys were going to be players, and it just didn't turn out that way. So yeah, when I look back 2-3 years ago, I was excited when Sanity got brought up. They got right into a feud with the Usos, and then it just went bad. It just went bad. They had a cool entrance, the helicopter. It was very much like, what's that movie they were trying to copy? The Purge. It was very much like The Purge. They had cool-ass music. Eric Young was a good leader. He could have been like a Kevin Sullivan. And I just, he can talk. I don't know what again, maybe it's backstage politics, but something went wrong, and he even said he wound up in catering for 2 years and started to hate wrestling. I mean, you heard the interview. He started to dislike wrestling. He didn't like it anymore. He didn't like being in the business anymore, which is a bad thing. You're never going to want to go further if you're starting to decline in mentality about what the profession that you're in. You're starting to resent it. You're not going to up the game. But he's happy now going to Impact. They always treated him good there. The only thing about Impact is it's so low on the totem pole, DT. And I'll be honest about this. Would you even say Impact is below MLW at this point?
No, not at all. Not at all. I've been saying for months now that I thought NXT #1, Impact #2 with the women's wrestling. They have accumulated a really nice women's roster, and now they upped the ante with some of the signings that they made. And I joked about this on Wednesday, that it's pretty funny to see all the people who always talk about AEW signing former WWE guys. Right, I didn't see almost any of them talking about Impact signing all these former WWE guys.
No, nobody talks about it, DT. And that's my point being is that Impact does have good players, but Impact is like an afterthought because it's always WWE, AEW, WWE.
No, well, that's because
no one talks about it.
Right, but that's because people choose to only pay attention to the people that only talk about it. I bring this up all the time on the other shows. Unfortunately, you talk about Shimmer, you talk about Stardom, you talk about New Japan, or you talk about MLW, Ring of Honor, and others. Unfortunately, that's not the big ratings draw. So people want to interact on social media, and they only want to talk about two promotions. And honestly, that's why I enjoy doing Wednesday so much, because I get a ton of interaction from people talking about Impact, talking about these other feds. It's very shallow. It bothers me when I see people saying, wow, wrestling sucks right now. WWE sucks. AEW is not that great. But they don't even take a chance and spend time on the other promotions. Now, Impact Wrestling, interesting enough, because their ratings are starting to get a little bit better, numbers are starting to come out again. Now, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I have them for Wednesday, but if I remember correctly, their last show did about 150,000 viewers. Last year, there were episodes that were in the 5 digits, and I talked about it on Wednesday show earlier in the year, even before video. But Impact is doing about 150,000 viewers. So for Impact standards, that's not bad. That's not bad. That is, and it's not fair to MLW, Ring of Honor, because their TV deals are, much different with streaming and everything.
Exactly.
It's still a joke. when you see the numbers, I mean, that's a pathetic number. But, they really, went, pardon my language, all in by bringing in EC3, bringing back Eric Young, Gallows and Anderson. I mean, you could go down the list. But, Eric Young, his quote that's standing out to everyone is that WWE is a disaster in how it's organized. And he brings up some very valid points. The only thing that, I kind of disagree with him, that he says, now he's happy again to be in wrestling. And I'm saying to myself, you've been in Impact for one appearance, maybe two.
Exactly. I get that.
Yeah. But, the thing with Sanity, I remember my thoughts on Sanity, and Sanity debuted on the main roster before COVID.
Yep.
They got no reaction. And the thing is that NXT is a whole different animal than WWE's main roster with live crowd, especially when you're in Full Sail every week, or in Florida, and you have the same live fans. They're the ones that see Sanity every single week.
Right.
You have your diehard NXT fans that are into them, but once they came to the main roster, people were like, oh, Wyatt family ripoffs, or what is this? The Purge meets this, and people were just coming up with things, and they just were not over. They got no reaction. Nikki Cross is not even the same Nikki Cross than when she was involved.
But you got her launching point from there.
Oh yeah. She got a launching point, but WWE was very smart to break away from Sanity immediately. Sanity just never got over. I mean, once it came to the main roster, nobody gave a shit about them. Fans did not get into them, and WWE, if their ratings would have been a lot better and their revenue would have been a lot better, they probably would have been
more patient.
Yeah, they would have given them more opportunities. But now, even with the Forgotten Sons of Bitches, before the whole political scandal stuff, they won a match, if I remember correctly, they defeated the tag champs or something in the non-title, and, it just felt like, okay, here's a case where you're making someone win to try to get over, and I remember when they did that to La Resistance. I mean, La Resistance ended up having a little bit of a following, but Sanity just never clicked.
They didn't click, but they also didn't give Eric the mic too much, and he could talk. He always could talk. I mean, at one point, wasn't he playing even the GM at Impact at one point as another character? Yeah, he could talk, and they just never gave him the mic. So, but yeah, he's saying, WWE is just, basically, for another word for dysfunctional back there. They don't know, directionless, and they don't know what they're doing with anybody. I mean, listen, when those contracts were up and the clauses were done and they were free to go where they were going to go, I knew people were going to get some good shoot interviews, so to speak, out of them. And I figured the majority of them, I wouldn't even say be bitter, but they're not going to be, giving rave reviews. Look, the Good Brothers are talking what they're talking. Heath Slater's probably been the most nicest guy about it. I've seen him do a couple of interviews. He doesn't want to burn bridges, so he's been cool. But I'm sure when they get EC3 finally on some interview, whether it's, any of these, independent guys or Van Vliet or any of these other people, I'm sure you might not have too kind things to say. But I don't think you think Eric Young, but at this point, does it matter if he burned the bridge at his age and stage? Does it matter?
I don't think he burned the bridge. I think he was just expressing frustration.
Oh, no, but you know what I'm saying? He's probably never going back there. I mean, this is it for him. Probably Impact will be there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but, it's still Eric Young. It's not like he's the major face of the company. I mean, when he was Super Eric, I think that's when he was probably over the most.
Right.
Exactly. He reinvented himself, which was great.
He did. He's a creative guy. He's a creative. I think at one point he was even hosting a show on some other cable network. I think it was some sort of not a hunting show, but something. I can't remember the name of the show. But he's a good personality. Again, he was always keeping himself in shape. He was very active on social media with his fans. He kept a low profile. He seemed to be kind of a loner type of guy. And again, he's in his early 40s. And I think he's a Canadian, isn't he, DT? So finish out his career out in Impact where he probably feels most comfortable, and maybe he'll have one last run, and maybe they make him champion again. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see what happens. By the way, Joe Punches, I'll hook you up. You know what I'm talking about. Now, I guess since we're on the topic of Impact, and then we'll go over to Raw. We'll talk about Raw before that. Sure. What did you think of what AJ Styles had to say about Dixie Carter?
I didn't get a chance. I know what he said about Heyman. I didn't get a chance to hear what he said about Dixie Carter.
It's worth it. I'm going to say this the nicest I possibly can. 2 middle fingers to all of the websites out there that are so butthurt to ever give Vince Russo credit that they didn't even put Vince Russo's name in the title. What happened was AJ Styles is doing his streaming stuff, and he answers a lot of questions from fans. AJ Styles is, when CM Punk says that AJ Styles is loner and all this other shit, AJ Styles has been very interactive with fans, very vocal, very upfront, very honest. And I'm out of everybody speaking right now, doing their AJ Styles probably I enjoy the most, but they got on the subject of TNA. And a few people asked AJ Styles his thoughts on Dixie Carter and Vince Russo. And AJ Styles says about Vince Russo, and I quote, "Vince is a person, I love the guy, and we butted heads as far as him writing, even in TNA, but I realized when we butted heads, it was because he was getting things from Dixie the whole time. It must have been very difficult to work with this woman who has no idea how wrestling works and wanted everything to be done to it, and it didn't make any sense. We butted heads with him as a writer, but due to Dixie Carter getting involved a lot with creative." So then people hear that. I guess they sense a little blood. They are, but not knowing what's best for business, she hurt TNA. Oh. What do you think?
I mean, he's not wrong, and they're not the only person to really say that. I mean, that's a pretty honest assessment. At least he likes Vince Russo. Everyone kind of always takes it out on Vince. I mean, ownership is really always ultimately responsible. I mean, just like his thing with Heyman, who I'm sure lied to him, but ultimately it does lie with Vince McMahon. But AJ goes by who he feels is responsible for either the lie or the situation at hand, and he wants the responsible party to be responsible. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think people come back at him with like nonsensical things like, flat earther, and try and dismiss him like he's some crazy person. And I think AJ is one of the most intelligent, smartest, level-headed, he's got a steady, sturdy family situation at home. He's a guy you'd want working for you. I mean, he's never embarrassed the company. So it's always funny when people want to because people like Heyman, so they want to, shit on AJ a little bit. I don't know why, because he's not directing it towards Vince. But even with Impact, he's blaming it where it belongs. I think Dixie Carter, everyone, DT, it's no secret she didn't know about the business. I mean, that's the worst kept secret in Impact. So I think he's just speaking his truth. But it's interesting that he's doing this. Why is he doing this now, DT? Because COVID and he's got the time. Like, why now?
What do you mean, why now? Why now what?
Why is AJ talking about this stuff now? Like, why is it coming up?
Because people are asking him.
Yeah, but weren't they asking him? He's been around for a while now, hasn't he, about this subject?
He really didn't have social media and Twitch and other stuff.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so he's like, do you think he's influenced by the Good Brothers doing this and stuff? That's why he's doing this now?
No. I think people are trying to find ways to generate a little bit of revenue stream, and they're also interacting with fans. Plus, I personally think COVID really exposed that, and let's be honest, everyone, COVID exposed that 95% of the wrestling news websites out there have zero sources. None. Somebody will read something and assume it and try to put 2 and 2 together. Some people are very smart, and I'll give you an example.
Okay.
There's been reports for a while now that Daniel Bryan is giving, ideas for SmackDown, and Edge is giving ideas for Raw.
Yeah, I heard about that.
So, and this is how the game works, everybody. And I brought it up before, and I'll give you a really good example now. Stephanie does an interview last week for some woman's thing. And it was a very good interview. I mean, the person who interviewed her didn't really challenge her on some of the COVID questions, but it was... So You know, that's basically the deal. You know, that's how people do it. You know, they manipulate one story and try to twist it with others, and then they say they have sources. So my point is, when you have AJ Styles, not too long ago, that story that he had signed a new WWE deal. This was I think sometime last year. And some website put, breaking news, AJ Styles signs the new WWE deal, blah, 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 blah. Because remember, there was all those rumors, AJ Styles to AEW. AJ Styles contacts that website and says to the website, listen, guys, you're hearing it straight from me. I didn't sign any new WWE deal yet. So instead, and I'm sorry for people who already know that story, but instead of that website saying, we got exclusively from AJ Styles that he has not yet signed the contract, instead, they write back to AJ Styles and they say, no, we stand by our source. We believe our source. They actually would not, they were so against being wrong that the person they're talking about who just told them it's not true, they told him, no, we don't believe you. So now a lot of these wrestlers, I think, are like, you know what? Fuck all of these websites with all of this stuff. We're going to just, straight from us, you know, you want to ask stuff and they feel comfortable answering it, they'll just answer it. You know, you see Ricky Starks with AEW, he did a video basically telling everyone he's a free agent. You see all of these reports about Eddie Kingston and AEW and this and that. Nobody thinks, you know, we should ask Billy Corgan at NWA, is Eddie Kingston still under contract? You know, instead of writing these reports that Eddie Kingston may sign with people realize that since COVID, almost nobody has any sources. So a lot of these wrestlers, if they tell it straight from their mouth, you know, you hear it from the source. And look at the Good Brothers. They're doing that pay-per-view over the weekend, and it's pretty much them hanging out, having fun. So speaking, gaming, Drake Maverick, you know, does it all the time on social media. He goes on Twitch and he games. He makes money. You know, not a lot of money, but he makes money. So that's what these wrestlers are doing. They, you know, nobody wants to do something for nothing. But these guys, you know, we're in the age where everybody games. So these guys are going to game. Hey, let me put a headset on and I'll tell stories and interact a little bit. People send me money. That's why Cameo became huge. I mean, I don't think people realize how many wrestlers are in Cameo. Roman Reigns is on Cameo. Sasha Banks is on Cameo. Alexa Bliss. Roman Reigns. I can go down the list. And they're getting the bucks. Imagine paying Sasha Banks, what was it, $400 for a 1-minute video.
Yeah, that's all that.
You know? So that's what it is. It's the new revenue stream. And, yeah, you know, that's what it is. So shout out to Sam. Now we go to people. This was one of the funniest ones at all. And the funny thing is, I kind of actually understand why Bruce Prichard said what he said. But basically, Bruce Prichard, when he was doing his podcast, I guess somebody had asked about Nick Aldis. Yep. Like, how come they never picked up Nick Aldis or considered him for the main roster? And I guess Bruce Prichard's answer was that, you know, there really wasn't much of anything for Nick Aldis. He really wasn't, you know, much of nothing. So Nick Aldis writes on Twitter, and he writes, "Hi, Bruce Prichard. Your ignorant comments about me had me at an all-time low, kind of like your Raw ratings. However, there are a few Hall of Famers that seem to have a different opinion, some of which are featured below." And then I guess Nick Aldis is going on Busted Open Radio, so he's going to probably have a field day on Bruce Prichard and WWE. What'd you think about that back and forth?
I heard that episode. I just happened to be randomly listening to it between Conrad and Bruce. It was about a week ago. And I had heard that, and I was wondering when Aldis was going to respond to it. It wasn't like it was the other day. It was maybe a week or so ago, something like that. And I remember I'm saying, wow, that was interesting because Mickey still works there technically. I'm sure they see Nick at functions that Mickey brings him to. They know him. So I was like, Bruce throwing shade like he does. And then, listen, he disrespects Ultimate Warrior all the time, and he's got to run into Dana. So he doesn't seem to care that he's offending someone's spouse that he has to see. So I just took it he's being a dick. But he dismissed him. He was like, he's neither here nor there. There's nothing really there. And I'm like, wow, geez, okay. And lo and behold, the other day I see him respond, and that was a great reply, by the way. He was definitely on his social media game comeback to Bruce Prichard. Bruce, of course, didn't reply to it. I didn't expect he would. I think Nick Aldis is he's the epitome of old school. I don't know if a lot of people compare him to Nick Bockwinkel. DT, you think that's good, by the way, comparison? Nick Bockwinkel and Nick Aldis?
Maybe a combination of Nick Bockwinkel and old school Ric Flair. You know, because you know what it is? Because this ain't not because Aldis always comes out with really clean-cut suits. Right. Very methodical in what he says, very relaxed, very educated. You know,
Bockwinkel. Yeah.
So, there's not too many wrestlers that would do that. Ric Flair would also do that, but Ric Flair would also get extremely animated as well.
Oh, yeah.
But the only reason why I kind of didn't have a problem with Bruce Prichard said is because, Nick Aldis, you go back, a couple of years, maybe 4 or 5 years, the Nick Aldis of 5 years ago is not the Nick Aldis of today.
No,
so,
he's grown,
I think where Nick Aldis gets it wrong is he's looking at where he is now, and he's basing Nick Aldis of 2020 based on maybe because we don't know exactly what year Bruce Prichard was talking about, but I could almost guarantee this was way, way before Nick Aldis became what he is now.
Well, I think Bruce, kind of follows him somewhat, but I think maybe Bruce is dismissing that he's the NWA champion. It's not like the real NWA. I think Bruce maybe has a little bit of a snotty old school attitude. Maybe he just doesn't like Nick. It's possible, right?
Yeah, could be. I mean, the fact that, Nick Aldis is talking about going on Busted Open Radio about this and this and that, I mean, he got very offended by it. Let's see how offended Nick Aldis got. I wouldn't have made such a big deal about it, to be honest with you, but, hey, it is what it is. But, again, I think Nick Aldis probably should find out what year Bruce Prichard is talking about, looking at Nick Aldis. Are we talking about 5, 6, 7, years ago? And, there's no question Nick Aldis, what he's done in the last 3 or 4 years has really put him one of the top wrestlers in the world. I wouldn't say that he was one of it. Maybe he was a top rising stars 5, 6 years ago, but I don't think anybody and their mother really had Nick Aldis on their radar 5, 6, 7 years ago. I don't remember podcasters talking about. I don't remember. I remember people used to joke once in a while.
I think he was on Busted Open today, DT, wasn't he?
Yeah, it might have been today. Today.
He was on today. People are sending me the transcript. It's too much to read, guys.
Yeah. We're not going to get into that today. Yeah, we're going to be done in less than an hour. So, we're going to talk about Raw next, and then we'll get into Regis and a few other things.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Let me tell you, everybody, this was not easy. I know it may look easy, but this was not easy. Not only pulling together all of the photos of Regis making appearances, but editing and sizing and making it as in like a nice collage. But, I'll tell you this much. And we'll talk about it later on. But after really reliving Regis, unless you want to just spend 2-3 minutes now about it.
Let's get into it. Yeah, let's get into it.
He died, close to 90. God bless him. When someone lives to be 90, I don't think anybody should be sad about it, because what did you think? Regis was going to come out of retirement and do Millionaire again, or he was going to interview wrestlers? He was done. Someone gets up there in age, they're done. You don't want to ever see someone pass away, and a little bit of your childhood is taken away more. And it reminds you that everybody, sooner or later, is mortal. But I tell you, going back in time, and looking up all of the appearances of wrestlers with Regis. And the sad thing about it is, if you look online, you would think that only WWF wrestlers went on Regis. So many WCW guys went on Regis. And I'm trying to find photos. I'm trying to find videos, screen captures, anything. And as I'm going down the list and I'm looking at all of these people that he had, I mean, Hogan obviously was the number one, but it just blew me away how many people Regis in wrestling interviewed. And the one thing I'm left with after all of this is, why was he not one of the first people put in the celebrity wing of the WWE Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
You know? I mean, what's your thoughts on Regis passing away?
Obviously, Sam, me and you were around the same age. I'm a little older than you, but we started out being a fan at the same time. And then in the 80s, you would always see my mother watch the show all the time when I was a kid going to school. He had a show before he had the show with Kathy Lee. He had a show before that. And, anybody who's like a house mom or a mother at home or whatever, you always knew Regis Philbin from your mom for some reason. That's the first, time you hear about this guy, or you're homesick, and my mother puts on TV. I'm like, who's this man? I was Regis Philbin. So I remember hearing about that. I was a little kid because he had a couple of shows. And then, of course, he had the one with Kathy Lee, started out, I believe, in the 80s. And I know that he was a wrestling fan because he talked about wrestling from time to time. Several times I'd watch it. Instead of being home sick from school or something. And I know he was friends with Freddie Blassie. That was like a big friend of his. I think when he worked out in California, in San Diego, I think, or in Los Angeles. Yeah. But Reed just goes back like a long time with wrestling. He was a legit fan. And I even when I was looking at some stuff, I know you put together.
I apologize. I actually just got an alert on my phone that the internet service, they're actually doing some work. So, the good thing about the video is, it picks up where it left off, but the audio, I actually have to splice it. So let me just let everybody know right now that for those on video, I just got an alert on my phone, literally as everything just disconnected, that Spectrum, I still have Spectrum for internet. I have, Sling for TV, but Spectrum is doing maintenance right now. So the internet may go out. So I'm just letting everybody know. So my apologies for everybody out there.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
So, I'm just letting everybody know, hey, I don't own the internet companies and these are shows, and sometimes there's going to be connection issues. Nothing we can do about it.
Nope.
But, so getting back.
Well, let me just condense it. So anyway, Regis goes back, like I said, WrestleMania 7, and he's a big fan. And not just, like I said, he's not one of those guys who just came in for a paycheck. He loved WWE, he loved WWF. I remember Ultimate Warrior going on the show and giving the wrestling buddy to Cody, Kathy Lee's son, who was a kid at the time. He's like 40 now, I think. And just Rick Rude on the show, and all the people, Bret Hart putting him in the sharpshooter. I mean, he just had a ton of wrestlers on the show, and he loved wrestling. Yeah. Dude loved it. He was like ecstatic when the guys came out. He wanted the crowd to get amped up that these guys were there. So, and it was genuine, DT. It wasn't like show busy Hollywood kind of stuff. Regis was a legit fan, and that's why everyone should pay him the respects because he really helped put wrestling in the mainstream by having these people on the show, and it was his insistence of having them on the show. He had that kind of juice, so he was a real fan. He wasn't doing it because it was the popular thing. He was having wrestlers on before it was even rock and wrestling.
He was a subscriber of Meltzer's newsletter.
Isn't that something? Yeah, I know. I heard about that. Isn't that? I mean, that's great. I mean, again, 88 years old. God bless him. What a sweetheart of a man. Yeah. I saw the last clip he was on. His daughter has a show, I think, Single Parents, which is a show, I think, on ABC with one of the former guys from Saturday Night Live, and he did a guest appearance because she's a producer on that show. And he looked old, DT. I don't know if you saw his last appearance. He was white hair and small and like getting that little old man frail frame. But he still had some lines. This was just in January. He did a promotion for this for his daughter, who's a producer. And that was the last time I saw him. I was even wondering, I was like, wow, this is the last thing of Regis was was January, and I was wondering if it was a COVID thing, but it doesn't seem to be.
No,
it just seems from natural causes. Yeah, natural causes. But God bless him. He's never a bad word about. You hear that, it's very cliche. Never a bad word. But DT, you ever hear a bad word about Regis Philbin?
Never. None.
Yeah,
none. So, God rest his soul. I thank him for all the interviews that he did over the years, especially when I was younger. And hosting Millionaire was awesome too. But
that was a good show too.
Yeah. And again, for everyone, especially on video, I'm sorry if there was a little glitch before. Like I said, I got an alert that my internet service company, Spectrum, is having maintenance tonight. They do it at midnight. No, it's coincidence, obviously. It went down at midnight. But hopefully, we won't lose service. I should have put my cell in here, and we could have just tapped into the cell's internet, but we should be good. We don't have too much left to cover. We'll Regis, I'm telling you, everyone, if you want to check out some fun stuff, Kurt Angle, Ric Flair, Bret Hart, Hulk Hogan, probably my favorite appearances.
And then it comes back.
Yeah, we're back.
There he is. We're back.
Yeah, okay. Like I said, Spectrum is doing maintenance. And pisses me off about Spectrum? They don't tell you like a day before, an hour before. So, it happens once in a while. I mean, unfortunately, we're going to probably have to deal with this. I guess they feel like midnight is probably the best night to do maintenance, but hey, it is what it is. Like I said, on YouTube, everything is streamed together, so it's seamless, so they're not going to lose anything. Audio, unfortunately, now I got to fuck with it tonight, and I got to edit out the dead air, but it's all good. When everything is a finished product, nobody loses anything tonight. So
we can shorten it. It's
it's fine. Let's talk about Raw a little bit, and we'll get it back to the other things. But, Raw opens up tonight, Randy Orton, talking about, some of the gimmicks he had over the years, the Viper, the Legend Killer. He talks about legacy, evolution. And then he basically issues the challenge to Drew McIntyre for SummerSlam. And I know a lot of us already talked about the idea of Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam. And I know a lot of us like it because Randy Orton actually has upped his game, even though he doesn't wrestle, that much, but he's upped his game. My question to you is this. Drew McIntyre is yet to be able to perform in front of a live regular fans because of COVID.
Yeah.
Do you have a problem with Randy Orton defeating Drew McIntyre for the belt and Drew McIntyre never getting that opportunity? Or maybe he wins the belt again later in the year or early next year and then has that opportunity to at least perform as champion in front of live fans? I mean, how do you feel about Randy Orton versus McIntyre? You want to see a title change, or you want to see McIntyre overcome? Or do you want to see clusterfucks?
Well, me and you talked about this before, that McIntyre deserves to wrestle in front of a crowd and get some sort of reaction. He's manning the ship there in very choppy times. It's not fair, but life is not fair. A lot of things are not fair. This is what it is, and he accepts it. He's done interviews about it. Look, I'm champ during COVID times. What am I going to do? He's been a good champion. He's a gentleman and a scholar. He's been a good man about it. But Randy Orton's higher profile, more of a mainstream guy. It'll probably make more news if Randy wins the belt. He's more of a celeb, so to speak. He's one of the top echelon wrestlers that's still left active on the roster. And this would be Randy's last probably run, even though Randy signed a new deal. But I would say Randy has maybe one more world title in him. It might be this time. Let Drew. I don't know when crowds are going to come back, and I hate making the guesstimations. And I listen to other podcasts. No, never, no way, no crowds this year. No crowds probably till next spring. We don't know anything, and I don't even want to make that prediction. But I will say that, yeah, I don't mind if Randy wins the belt now, and Drew gets it back at a later time when little by little they get people back, or they can get half a crowd back or something, and let Drew win the title back in a crowd that he didn't have at WrestleMania. Give him the opportunity. Give him, they like to reward guys as much as they like to punish. I'm doing finger quote guys, like they do job guys out. Like people feel Aleister Black is getting punished a little bit. They also like to reward guys for doing the right thing by them. So I wouldn't mind seeing Randy And if he's down for it, he's like, oh, I'll carry the title a couple of months, no problem. Then down the line, I'll have a big thing at Survivor Series, or maybe we'll have crowds back by Royal Rumble. I'll drop it to the kid. So maybe Randy was in agreement to that, and because he knows that he's in his Drew is a younger guy. He's he's in his prime. Randy's still in his prime, but on the downside of it. So it matches up great. Those two match up good. I'd like to see a series of matches between the two. I think it'll be a very good matchup. Matter of fact, I'll predict right now, DT, I think he's going to drop it to Randy Orton. I think Randy's on too big of a roll, and Randy will be that guy that everyone wants to see who's going to beat Randy Orton. Drew loses to him, gets it down the road. So, yeah, I'm going to go Randy wins at SummerSlam.
Well, I think Randy has multiple championship reigns left. I think he may follow the footsteps of Triple H. Triple H had that flurry of title wins, couple of years that we were a little bit baffled by, but especially when you have two championship belts now, I could see more of a chance of Randy having Randy Orton will have a couple of heavyweight title reigns before he retires, but I have a feeling that Randy Orton is not going to beat Drew McIntyre the first time around. I think this is the detour for Brock versus Drew McIntyre. And the reason why I say that is I thought about if Randy Orton wins the belt, who does he feud with next? Now, I know some of you out there, and Joe Punches is one of them, about the idea of maybe Randy versus Edge for a title at WrestleMania, but the problem is, I don't even know how many matches Randy Orton is going to have. Right. Edge is going to have, before WrestleMania, or even if he has a match at Mania. I don't know if Edge warrants any title shot. If he has a couple of matches, maybe. But I don't know. I just have a feeling that, Drew. See, I hope everybody remembers this, especially if I'm right. Randy Orton said something tonight that kind of teased what the ending of Raw was going to be. When Randy Orton said that opening promo, he talked about the idea that that Drew McIntyre, he could give him an RKO out of nowhere and he would never see it coming. To close out Raw, that's exactly what Randy Orton did. I already picture the Raw after SummerSlam where Drew McIntyre says, Randy, you said that I'd get hit with the RKO and never see it coming. Well, guess what, my friend? I said you get hit with the Claymore and never see it coming. So I think he's going to hit the Claymore out of nowhere, get the win, squeak it out. It's going to be a very close match, but I think Drew McIntyre is going to escape as champion, and then we'll reevaluate what's going on with COVID, what's going on with Canada, what's going on with Brock Lesnar and a return, and we go from there. If it still doesn't look like anything's going to change, maybe a rematch, and then maybe Randy Orton takes it.
So you think that those three, it's a three-way thing between, not that kind of three-way, a three-way thing between Drew, Brock, and Randy Orton is basically. That's where the championship lies between those three guys. There's nobody else who fits into that. I
can't think of anybody
spectrum.
else right now.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people, SoFly B. Moore is one of them, he thinks Randy wins and an Edge. A lot of people are saying that they think that Edge could take the title from Randy Orton. Look, I have no problem with Randy Orton or Edge being champions
I think
again.
So.
I mean, I just wonder afterwards, who does Randy Orton feud with?
That's a good, unless, Ciampa comes up or they bring elevate somebody up. But Dijakovic, even if they elevate Dijakovic, he's not a name. He's going to have to, go through the system of people. Just like Matt Riddle now is going to be stuck in a feud with Corbin for a while because that's just the way it works until he gets to be a bigger name. So I can't even, there's no acquisition they could make. They can't incorporate Big Show into that. I don't know. You're right. On Raw, there's really nobody. You're right. Unless Ali becomes the major player.
Yeah. Sam is in Canada. He said that the border's still closed till August 21st.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, that's right around SummerSlam. So,
oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
We'll see what happens at that point. But I think for now, I think Drew McIntyre escapes Randy Orton by a hair. I think Drew retains. I might change my mind. You know, it was only made official tonight. But then there was something weird happened. I don't like this. They've done this a few times, and I don't call it disrespectful because I know some people call it disrespectful. To me, it just looks kind of goofy on TV. But before Randy Orton could even go to the back, Nia Jax's music hits. Yeah. And she's coming out, and her and Randy Orton just look at each other for a split second. But as Randy Orton is leaving, Nia Jax comes out, and she cuts a promo. And, you know, next thing you know, because she feels that she should have got the title shot. She brings up Charlotte. Shayna Baszler's music hits. They have a stare down, and then they start going at it in the ring. This leads to what we thought was going to be an interesting match later on. I think a lot of people forget. Wasn't it Asuka, Nia Jax, and Shayna Baszler? Wasn't it a three-way match not too long ago? Because I remember Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler going at it a little bit. Maybe it was even more particular. I don't remember what match it was.
I know what you're talking. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
But they've gone at it before. But here we think we're going to come back from commercial, and they're going to have a match. But basically, instead, we come back from commercial, and the Street Profits are in the ring. And we find out that there's going to be a match tonight, Street Profits on commentary, and they were funny as fuck. They're great on the mic, both of them. You know, that's something you got to really give praise for. You know, New Day is good with that. You look at some tag teams over the years, usually you have one of the two that's really strong on the mic or charismatic, you know, just comedic. But both of them are hilarious on the mic, but they're on commentary. Then we have a number one contenders match. The winner faces the Street Profits at SummerSlam. And it was Andrade and Angel Garza on the same page today. They defeat the Viking Raiders, Ricochet, and Cedric Alexander. What'd you think of this match?
I thought it was okay. I mean, I'm glad to see the Street Profits back. I'm not big on the Viking Raiders at all. And Garza and Andrade is just to be a countdown until they break up. But they got the win. Cedric, I still think is going to wind up in the Hurt Business at some point. So again, I'm looking at the only team I think is going to be consistent is Street Profits and the Raiders. I think Ricochet and Garza and Andrade, those teams are just makeshift teams, and eventually they're going to break up. One guy going one way, one guy going another way. But I thought it was, I mean, I'm not impressed with the tag team division at all. But I thought it was a decent match. Obviously, Garza got the pin on Cedric. I don't know. I mean, I get it should be a good match. The Street Profits versus Garza and Andrade. You got, 3 out of 4 very good athletes there. But I'm not that big on the tag team. There's not really a tag team that really does it for me in this roster. Street Profits are okay as long as they tone down the goofball stuff. Montez Ford is a single star waiting to happen a year or two from now. So again, outside of Street Profits, I don't care much about the tag team division. DT. You know,
first off, you know, Dorian Moore. Earlier there was a little discussion in the chat about, you know, New Nation of Domination.
Yeah.
I think something interesting on Raw today kind of squashes that idea that a lot of people keep circulating. So Dorian, I don't think Roman Reigns, if he were to come back, he would join up on any group at all. Roman Reigns will be put right to the moon, title picture, pick up where he was supposed to leave off at WrestleMania.
But and they need him to, DT, honestly. They need him to.
Yeah, they need him. I mean, they really do. And you know what? I think in the very near future, we will have, and I've said this not too long ago, and I'm going to repeat it here. I think we will get an announcement that Roman Reigns is going to make an appearance on SmackDown. Just, you know, maybe, you know, hitting the ring and just giving a little update on his progress or whatever. But Roman Reigns, I don't think he's going to wrestle anytime soon, but I think he will make an appearance. Even if they do a Zoom, Roman Reigns is going to be on SmackDown television very soon, in my opinion. Now,
they should. Yeah.
I agree with you what you said as far as in the ring. Cedric Alexander, I like the idea of turning him heel. It would be very interesting. I would definitely like to see a little feud between Ricochet and Cedric. Right. But it felt like, and I know I'm going one step ahead, but I think we need to because of this. Yeah. You know, later on, MVP had the MVP lounge, and he brought out Mustafa Ali. And basically, he was trying to show Mustafa Ali the light and everything. And obviously, Ali is not having any of it. He has a match with Bobby Lashley. And, you know, Bobby Lashley beats him in 11 minutes, like we said earlier. But I found it very interesting because other than Stink and Vink, this is and I'm not saying this to try to play on race or anything like that, but I think MVP trying to, you know, bring Ali into camp is almost the way of WWE saying, you know, we're not doing an all-black group storyline like a new Nation of Domination, even though people forget who are the white guys that were in the Nation of Domination, Kev?
Crush.
Who else?
And what's the names? Bill Dundee's son, Wolfie D, and
PG-13.
PG-13, Wolfie D, and what's the other guy's name?
God.
Well, Jesus Christ. Wolfie
I almost
D
said
and,
Violent J. That's fucking insane, Cloud Posse. It was Wolfie D and who else, everyone? Who was PG-13?
JC Ice.
JC Ice, that's right.
There you go. Thanks, guys.
And Owen Hart. We can't forget Owen Hart.
That's right. Yeah, Owen was in the Nation at first. That's right.
I think I got to get some artwork for Owen Hart. I think we got to put Owen Hart in the back. But, by the way, the Roddy Piper shirt is on display. You know, vintage. But, you know, so there were non-blacks in the Nation of Domination, and him trying to get Ali in the camp, I think was a way of saying, look, you know, it's not going to be just about all black. Although, you know, you put Cedric in there, then the whole, you know, faction looks all black. So there could be a twist.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but, so anyway, you know, getting back to the tag match, I tell you, man, you know, and by the way, for you fans of Angel Garza, he got married last week.
Yeah, good looking.
You know, and it's amazing because didn't he just get engaged like earlier this year, and he already got married?
No, I think he got engaged like late last year. Didn't he get engaged on NXT TV show last year?
Yeah, I thought it was early this year. I thought it was around Valentine's. I don't know. Well, even that, sure. It was still. Either it just this year flew by, but didn't feel like all that long ago. I think it was this year. But you know what? Congrats to Angel Garza, and I tell you, man, I'm feeling him on TV. Look, I'm not attracted to him, but I'm feeling him. I'm starting to enjoy his work like I do Sammy Guevara in AEW. Yeah. He's starting to connect with me, and I think he's starting to connect with a lot of people online. And maybe WWE is going to have second thoughts of Andrade and Angel Garza splitting right now.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I tell you, as of right now, I wouldn't be surprised if Andrade and Angel Garza win the tag titles at SummerSlam.
Yeah, you might be right. That could possibly happen. I think there might be a few title changes there, and that might be one of them.
I don't have a man crush on Garza, Ken, but I'm telling you, it's not the stuff that he does with Charlie Caruso. You know, he's got it. He's got it. Give WWE credit for grabbing this guy, you know, and bringing him to the main roster, because we remember, if I remember correctly, didn't he get a title shot at WrestleMania? Or was it Austin Theory? I think it might have been him. And I was like, wow, you know, they're kind of like pushing him to. I'm starting to get it with him. I'm enjoying his work. I enjoy his work on TV. Austin Theory got the title. Okay, it was Austin Theory, but Angel Garza still. They brought him to the main roster. Remember, they put him on TV because Andrade was it the suspension for the wellness program?
Right.
Yeah,
and then
he was suspended. So they put Angel Garza in Zelina Vega's camp. It felt very out of nowhere. And then Angel Garza stuck around NXT for a little while. But I'm telling you, he is...
Kid's got it.
Yeah, he's got it. He's got it.
Well,
So-
DT, he had it a few years ago when he was in Impact. They were talking about him being a star over there when it was still TNA Impact run by Dixie.
Still very young. Though.
Yeah, he was very young. Exactly, he was very young. He needed seasoning, but he's definitely got the it factor. And just so because everybody likes to make sure we get the dates right, he got engaged on December 12th.
All right, so yeah, so
6 months,
7 months.
7 months.
It's
7
good.
months,
It's good. I tell you, in the middle of COVID, mean guy, I got engaged a month before him, and I haven't even had an engagement party yet. Like, I'm not getting married till like 2021 or 2022. Right. So good for him, man. I'm happy for him. Yeah. And you know what, too? I think we may have to send condolences to him and Humberto Carrillo. I think their grandmother passed away. I saw something. I didn't really have the chance to look into it, but I'm usually correct. I'm pretty sure that they just lost their grandmother. So, I know a lot of people know I don't speak Japan, but I also don't speak Espanol. And Ken, it's all good, man. Hey, you guys could joke and rag on me. I'm all good with that. I wouldn't say he gives me Eddie Guerrero vibes yet, but he's got something. You could tell he's got something. And we'll just
she passed away over the weekend, DT, the grandmother. Yeah.
So next we had Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Double count out, didn't even last a minute. And man, I don't remember that guy's name that they beat up in the ring. Someone will remember his name. It's a very short name. But I just glanced up to see and I only saw shirt. But then I rewound it and I saw the guy that was beaten up. For a minute, I fantasized. I thought that was Sam Roberts. I forget the guy's name, but man, when I saw the guy, I thought that was Sam Roberts for a minute that they were beating up. I'm like, yes, there is a God. Sam Roberts and Pat McAfee are probably the two non-wrestlers in the WWE that I would not mind see get their ass kicked and get their ass kicked bad.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about Pat McAfee and Adam Cole and Triple H in a few minutes. But, one fall's asking Pat McAfee, what do you live under a rock? Pat McAfee, you never saw him doing like interviews and doing like some color for WWE. He's the one that wears the ugly shorts and those shoes. Yeah, Pat McAfee. Ugh. Seth Rollins asking Murphy if he's with him, and Murphy, I think, was starting to see a little teasing of dissension. Murphy is a little bit reluctant about doing some of the things that he does. Seth Rollins talks about that he heard that Dominic Mysterio was showing up. He goes to hit the ring. Before that, for some reason, we see Mark Henry talking to Ruby Riott and Bianca Belair. That doesn't lead to... What's funny, Kev? I wonder if they take, like, Ric Flair, Mark Henry, Ron Simmons, and they'd be like, all right, what we're going to do is we're going to record 10-second clips. No microphone, no sound. We're just gonna record you to pretend you're just hanging out with people that are not being utilized all that great right now. And they record like 20 of these, and they use them during the year. Like, maybe 2 weeks from now, they'll see Mark Henry hanging out in the back talking to the Street Profits. Or we'll see, I don't know, I think they do that. Like, all right, let's bring in the next two, and they're showing talking to Mark Henry, and they record like enough for for 5 months worth. But like it looks like the Ruby Riott and what's her name, Bianca Belair was talking to Mark Henry. It looked like just gibberish. Gibberish. Like maybe 3 weeks from now we'll see I don't know, Ron Simmons talking to Liv Morgan. I find it funny when they show those things. It led to nothing. Oh, it's nice to see him talking to Mark Henry, and it leads to nothing. Did we ever find out what Ron Simmons told MVP and Bobby Lashley? Like, think about what I said. Did we ever find out what that was?
No, but I would think that was the whole rumor of a possible new Nation of Domination, wouldn't it be?
I don't know.
I mean, the Hurt Business, isn't that basically? I mean, you're right. It doesn't necessarily have to be a militant African American faction.
Right now, WWE's not going to go political. WWE's not going to go military. WWE's not going to go law enforcement. And WWE certainly is not going to be controversial, militant, racist. Not racist, but militant.
Yes,
you know,
not going to bring in. Not going to bring in Colonel De Beers right now.
No, they want to get. Look, they want to put on feel good TV, where we turn the TV off with a smile. You know, they don't want black versions of Muhammad Hassan on TV right now. You know, they're not going that controversial area. My God, could you imagine if they did do something like the Nation of Domination? They would have to make explanations. Just like they did with Zeb Coulter and Jack Swagger that time. My name is Jake Hager. My name is and we're just characters on TV. If they do something controversial and it gets backlash, you're going to have MVP and Bobby Lashley and all these others talking out of character to explain that we're just entertainment and totally fuck it up. You cannot do that right now.
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine Shelton Benjamin being like, I went to Minnesota. I was Brock Lesnar's roommate. Like, what is he going to do? I mean, just you can't do that now. But if it wasn't 20 years ago, they did it, and it was just a different climate, And right now, you can't do anything like that. Ironically, DT, I don't know if you got a chance to see it. They did a new interview. Chris Van Vliet did an interview with Muhammad Hassan.
It was good
about the whole thing. Yeah, and sweetheart of a guy. Really, you feel so bad for him. He's so damaged by wrestling, but he's having a good life now as a teacher. But he was even saying that they asked him, "Could you do this character? If they paid you a lot of money, would you come back to the character?" It was not the way I was then. I couldn't do it. It would be a disaster for me personally and for them. So no, that character could not be done today. No. So he even said he can't do it. No matter the money they offered him, he couldn't do it.
I don't even think the character would have worked now if it never existed, because it would start going on the net about him being Italian.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That would just ruin it right then and there. Exactly. There's a lot of characters. There's a lot of characters you go back and you see they would have never been able to do what they did if social media was around.
Well, DT, me and one who was prominent when me and you were going to matches as young kids, Chief J Strongbow, Joe Scarpa, Italian, right? Yeah. He couldn't beat today. He wasn't Indian old, Chief J Strongbow. Well, McDaniel was a real Indian, but he was one of the few.
Yeah. So getting back to Raw, Rollins hits the ring. Yep. He asks Dominic to come out. Murphy's in the ring as well. Dominic a little bit reluctant to come out. He's got a microphone in his hand, and that was probably the most intriguing thing. I wanted to see what he had to say. He ended up saying nothing, but he ends up jumping Seth Rollins, gets the upper hand for a second or two, and then Rollins and Murphy beat him down. They're throwing him into the side padding, around the ring area, and he's basically saying it didn't have to be this way. Rollins is like, it didn't have to be this way. And then Rollins is looking at the steps, and Rollins is thinking about, popping out Dominic Mysterio's eye. And here comes Mr. YouTube, Aleister Black, wearing those shoes that he wears in Starbucks. Yeah. I mean, I was getting that, was that Marty? I always say Skrull. People like, please, Skrull. Please don't say it like that, but he gave me Marty vibes today. But here comes Aleister Black for the save, and then Aleister Black is not only getting his ass handed to him, but they kind of show him with his eye, getting popped out, and didn't happen, but he was writhing in pain. And here comes Dominic Singapore Kane, beating the balls off of Seth and getting a little bit of revenge, and want to see where it goes, Yep. Want to see where it goes. I know we're all intrigued about Dominic. If you look at his appearance, he just looks like a regular guy. There's you know what I mean? you wonder what would he even wear if he had a match.
Ring attire. Yeah, I can't picture him in ring attire, shorts or like his dad, the pants. I mean, I don't know what. Again, I have nothing to go based. I know you said DT. There's been some things of him. I've never seen them though. Him in the ring. I don't know if anybody's seen him in the ring. I haven't. If anybody has a clip, send it to me. So I haven't seen him in the ring. I couldn't find anything on YouTube with him wrestling.
He's not bad. And by the way, much love to everybody who is live right now. Almost 1,000 of you. And again, my apologies early about a little bit of the internet stuff. For those tuning in late, I got a little alert right before midnight that Spectrum is doing maintenance with their internet service tonight. We didn't have any rain or anything. And literally twice, internet went down for about a minute at a time. Like I said, the good thing about video is that it pauses it so you don't lose anything. Audio, I have to trim out some stuff later. It's all good. But, so I just wanted to throw that out there. And by the way, if everybody's enjoying the show, I would appreciate it if you give one of these and subscribe. Only about 400 away to 15,000. And then when that happens, we'll have another party. So, who's this Canadian that's showing me love? Who's this Canadian? Liam Savage. Thank you. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. So, let's go back to SmackDown. After the whole beatdown, we had the VIP lounge with MVP, as we said earlier. Before that, R-Truth, little backstage segment with Mustafa, and he calls him Mufasa.
Mufasa, yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I didn't like it. To me, it just fell flat. Like Mustafa Ali is just standing there like, did he call me Mustafa? It's not like he called him like something crazy. He just kind of mumbled his name the wrong way.
Well, it's the Lion King, right? Lion King?
Yeah, but it's like, you don't know. To me, it just fell flat, I mean, you mean to tell me that the lion only has that name? Like no one else is ever named? Maybe no. I don't know. I don't know anybody named Mufasa at all.
It's a Lion King reference.
Then again, I only know one person named Mustafa. So
after our time.
Yeah. And before anybody starts saying, oh, he's being racist, I only know 2 people that have the name Kevin. You're one of them. So,
I know 47 Anthonys. So.
Oh yeah, I know about 75 Anthonys and about 60 Nicks and Josephs and so.
I only know one Mish though. Only one Mish.
Yeah, only one Mish. There'll always be only one Mish.
That's it.
Mish is one of a kind. So, true. Lashley beats Ali again. I said this before, and I'll say it again now. No one out there should be annoyed that Mustafa Ali lost to Lashley today. Not many people go 11 to 12 minutes with Lashley. This shows that he can hang, with the big boys. Came up a little bit short, but, it wasn't a squash. I had no problem with it at all. And Ali got to show that he could also hang with the big men. So this is one of the cases where I think Ali won even though he lost. I know it sounds goofy to some people out there, but I truly believe that.
Yeah, he shouldn't have beat Bobby. That would have been ridiculous to him beat Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley's he's not a killer. He's not a Bruiser Brody per se, but he's a beast, and he's a guy Bobby Lashley should be on a higher echelons than Ali, and nobody's promotion should Ali be booked above, and not just because of size, even experience. Lashley's a bigger star than Ali, and let's just leave it at that. And
you know what? This might plant the seed down the line of Apollo Crews versus Ali.
Yeah.
For the title. Would not be surprised. Remember that, everybody. Wouldn't be surprised if this was the little planting of the seed that Ali can hang with the bigger boys. And, Apollo Crews, look at his size. That guy's so fucking agile, but he is a bigger guy as well. So, next we have Dolph Ziggler with Charlie Caruso saying that Randy Orton's going to face him at SummerSlam. And this is what I was saying at the beginning of the show. The only thing I had a problem with, I hated, WWE does this, not often, but when they do, every time they do it, I hate it. I hate when they announce a match for SummerSlam or a challenge for for a pay-per-view. Or they either announce a match for a pay-per-view or a challenge for a pay-per-view, but one of the participants in that match has a title match later on. And I think nobody in the world thought Ziggler had a chance tonight at winning that. But when you got Randy Orton opening up the show saying, I challenged Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam, you know, instead of cutting a promo and saying, you know, whoever it is at SummerSlam, if it's Dolph Ziggler or if it's, he just focused on Drew McIntyre. And I was like, you know, I know we know Ziggler wasn't going to win, but you're pretty much saying Ziggler's not going to win. And even Drew McIntyre accepting the challenge before he even has the fucking match with Ziggler, I didn't like that at all.
Nah,
I don't like it. Yeah. What I also didn't like was the ending of Sasha Banks and Asuka.
Yeah.
Sasha Banks is now dos straps as Bailey. They have all the belts in WWE, Raw and SmackDown, not NXT.
They run the show.
They run the show. I mean, this is what it is. They run the show. I mean, it was an excellent match. Sasha Banks versus Asuka is always a great match. I did not like that while they're having the match, the Titantron lights up and there's on the Titantron. Now, we should backtrack a little bit. Right as the match was about to start, Kairi Sane chases Bailey in the back. And neither of them are seen during 95% of this match.
Yeah.
And I talked last week that Kairi Sane will probably be attacked in the back. I kind of thought it was going to be Shayna Baszler doing it, but it wasn't. But, you know, Kairi Sane, she's pretty much done. And, you know, few people saw this earlier today that she posted a tweet and all it was an hourglass. And that's pretty much her saying that, you know, the sand is coming down and, you know, everybody pretty much knows now that this is pretty much it. So Asuka versus Kairi Sane, Asuka versus Sasha Banks is going on in the ring, having a great match. I loved, you know, some of the storytelling, you know, even Sasha throwing Asuka knee first on the table to injure the knee, going for the knee. It was a great back and forth match, but the story of the match was towards the end when Asuka looked like that she may have this match won. Here comes the Titantron. And here is Bailey beating the shit out of Kairi Sane, slamming her head in the gate, the garage gate, and just beating her. And Asuka is like looking at her. And I know a lot of you on social media were having flashbacks of Psycho Sid and Shawn Michaels from Survivor Series 96, where Psycho Sid started fucking with Jose Lothario. The difference is that Psycho Sid beat Shawn Michaels in the ring, and if people go back and watch that match, we all kind of wanted Psycho Sid to win. Shawn Michaels had some fans cheering for him, but Psycho Sid, you know, the fans wanted him to get it. This was the opposite. Kairi Sane is getting the shit knocked out of her, and Asuka is torn. Does she stay in the ring and beat Sasha Banks for the title, or does she go help her friend? So what Asuka did is noble and heroic and the good thing to do for her friend. But as a result, Asuka runs to the back to try to help her friend. Sasha Banks is in the ring. Asuka gets counted out, and that was the stipulation. Any disqualification, any count out. And I think we should all saw this coming when Stephanie last week didn't make the stipulation that Bailey and Kairi Sane cannot be at ringside, cannot get involved in the match. And just having this Titantron come on to Asuka to see it, again, it makes Asuka noble. All the way to the end, she worried about her friend more than the title. But now you have Sasha Banks with 2 belts. And then, Asuka screaming later on almost. I thought they were going to say that Bailey killed Kairi Sane.
I was going to say very Rocky IV, don't you think, DT? No, I'm just kidding. Because we were talking about Rocky IV for the other thing in NXT. Well, it was kind of eerie with Kairi was on the floor screaming for Asuka's name. Did you catch that?
Yeah, when she was like, Asuka!
Yeah, I know. She was like,
you knew that was the nail in the coffin. Now, me, if Kairi Sane wasn't leaving and she didn't beat Bailey clean last week, I would have loved a little swerve if something would have been teased in the back. Not Bailey beating her up, but maybe Bailey has like Kairi Sane's head on the edge of a table, and Bailey has like a sword. No, I'm thinking Attitude Era. But Bailey has I don't know, like a chair in her hand, and she's about to chair bash Kairi Sane in the head, and she's taunting Asuka, come back, help your friend, and Kairi Sane is yelling for Asuka, and Asuka runs into the back, and then Asuka, is set up, and Kairi Sane was in on it. I would have went in a totally different direction if Kairi Sane was not leaving. Maybe that could have set up a Kairi Sane Asuka feud, even though there was no belts on the line. But choppy, beep, beep. They don't have no pee-pee though. But I don't know. I didn't like that finish. I mean, we just had the stupidity of Sasha Banks walking around with the Raw Women's Championship, and she didn't actually win it. She just left with it. Bailey was the referee. She's not a referee. So it was like bullshit. She's walking around in storyline with the belt, and she didn't actually win it. And now she wins it, but wins it by a count out. So how does that make it any better?
Doesn't.
It doesn't. This was a way of taking the belt off of Asuka without having her pinned.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
So, but look, this looks like it's Kairi Sane's swan song. And, she was great in WWE. There was definitely moments that, we wished that they would have done more with her. Doing this, it's nice and everything, but, she could do that on YouTube, but she could do that on Twitter still. That doesn't get you further in the company. She wants to go home. She wants to be with her family. She may retire, within a year. She's leaving on good terms. So who knows? She's homesick. There's been a lot that's been messed up in 2020. Maybe she goes home, stays a little while. Who knows? Maybe 6 months to a year. Maybe she comes back again. She's leaving on very good terms. And you could pretty much tell, I think we could all say this. Don't expect some Japanese magazine or Japanese YouTube channel interview Kairi Sane, and Kairi Sane is on the mic. WWE. She's not going to bash WWE.
No.
She's not. You could pretty much see that she's going to leave with a smile on her face, and her fans, I think, are going to stick with her.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, who said that? Neil, I agree with you. Asuka should have won. It doesn't make Sasha weak, because Sasha didn't do anything wrong. But the whole putting the video on the screen of Bailey beating up Kairi Sane, it was kind of, And not only that, why would Kairi Sane just lay there and yelling for Asuka's name? I mean, it's not like Bailey was going to run her over with a Mack truck or something. She was just beating her up, against the thing. I don't know. I didn't like the finish at all. Didn't like the finish. So after that, we have Sasha and Bailey celebrating. Asuka is yelling top of her lungs. Then we get Humberto Carrillo versus Murphy. Again, I don't know why Carrillo didn't come out, try to help his friend who tried to help him not too long ago, but Carrillo comes out, loses to Murphy. I could have done without this match, to be honest with you.
I could have done without it, too.
Yeah. Then we had the main event. Drew McIntyre retains the championship, beating Dolph Ziggler. The stipulation is the same stipulation that Dolph Ziggler chose at Extreme Rules. The only difference is that Dolph Ziggler, would not let Drew McIntyre, cheat, or he could lose the title on his. Like Drew McIntyre couldn't use those rules. He just said straight up Extreme Rules. I tell you, it was a good match. It was. I know you don't like Dolph Ziggler, and I know a lot of you out there don't like Dolph Ziggler, but I don't mind Dolph Ziggler on TV. The guy actually performs. He sells well. He executes. He tells a great story in the ring. Just for me, Randy Orton's promo to open up the show, and even Drew McIntyre accepting the challenge for SummerSlam before the main event kind of ruined it for me.
Yeah, I mean, we knew it was a foregone conclusion, especially when the opening of the show had Randy pretty much calling out Drew McIntyre as his next target. So we knew no one for a second thought Dolph was going to win the title. Dolph is a great competitor. I mean, you're always going to get a good match out of him, but his character's too damaged, DT. It's way too damaged. I think you even said you wouldn't be surprised if he got some world title run still, but I just don't see that with him. I mean, he puts on a good match. He's a go-to guy when they're in a jam or they need a tweener, and that's what they do.
For the night.
I said this is probably the
it's probably the one more. Yeah, it's all right. It's all good. But just tell everybody to reload once. Spectra, man, you fucking up tonight, man. But I tell you, Ziggler, I don't have a problem with. Randy Orton hitting the RKO, he planted that seed earlier, and to me, once again, it plants the seed for SummerSlam. I'm telling you, I could picture on Raw that next night, I gave you the Claymore out of nowhere, I can't do a good Drew McIntyre yet, but the Claymore. But whose dad do I think Randy Orton would have been a much bigger star if Paul Heyman was in his corner? I think Randy Orton right now is arguably on the men's side the MVP of the roster, and he doesn't even wrestle, all that many matches. Mm-hmm. I don't think Randy Orton, Randy Orton is so good on the mic. He's not the greatest on the mic, but he's good. When he says something, it makes sense. It doesn't seem choreographed like before. Many years ago when we used to talk about, he used to crack these jokes, and it just was, you could tell it was fed to him. Randy Orton is strong on the mic. Having Paul Heyman, having two strong people on the mic, I don't think that's necessary. Paul Heyman is best served for someone who needs that push. That's why I wish they would have done more with Cesaro. I know a lot of you out there would have loved to see him manage maybe Baszler. There's a couple of people Paul Heyman could be taken care of right now as an advocate, but they want Heyman and Lesnar. And you know what? Maybe Heyman and Lesnar is the only deal that they agreed to with WWE.
That's true.
So, but I liked the main event tonight. It was very predictable, obviously, but Randy Orton hitting that RKO, basically gives that little doubt. And hey, you think Randy Orton's going to get it at SummerSlam? A lot of you tuning in think he's going to get it at SummerSlam. If he doesn't get it at SummerSlam, and you think that he does, it's not that you all are wrong, but WWE is doing its job. Anytime, any pay-per-view, for any company, if you really cannot predict clearly who is going to win, and you're really against the fence with it, that's usually when a company is really doing their job, or a wrestler is doing their job. Now, yeah, there could be lower-end matches where you just don't give a shit who wins on either side. But the fact that a lot of people think Randy Orton's going to win it, a lot of people think Drew's going to retain, that's probably, the more entertaining aspect of it, because you really go into it wondering which way are they going to go. You know?
I mean, it can go either. Again, the guys match up really well. That's the great thing about it. Height wise, style wise, body type. except obviously Randy's got about 10 years of experience over Drew, but that doesn't matter. Drew's almost 15 years in at this point. Randy's 20 years in. So again, maybe even longer. But it's a great matchup, much better matchup than Dolph versus Drew McIntyre. It's a good matchup, and it's any man's game. That's why if it was a legitimate sport, 50-50 who would be the winner here between the two of them.
And you know what I like too? I keep thinking about that moment where Drew McIntyre hit Lesnar on the rampway, and Lesnar was telling Drew McIntyre, take the belt, take the belt, take the belt. Like, and Brock Lesnar likes Drew McIntyre. Brock Lesnar, wanted to help Drew McIntyre. Now, sure, Brock Lesnar doesn't give a shit really about wrestling, but Brock Lesnar likes Drew McIntyre. Brock Lesnar wanted to help Drew McIntyre. I kind of feel the same way for Randy Orton. I think Randy Orton wants to help Drew McIntyre maybe go a little bit higher on the next level, and one way to do it is to beat Randy Orton right now, who seems to be at the top of his game.
He is, and you think Randy's got a few title runs in him, or just one more?
I think he's got a few. I said it before. I think he's going to follow the Triple H route. I think he said he wants to wrestle another, 5 years, 10 years or something like that. He stays in that shape and WWE uses him the right way. There's no reason why Randy Orton can't do another 5 to 7 years. I definitely think so.
You think so? He's 40? Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
I could see him go to
Jericho's
47, 48. Why not?
Yeah, true. Jericho's 50, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, you utilize him the right way and you take care of him, sure, I could see him doing that. So, with that said, we're going to be done in about 10 minutes. I want to shout out our new and returning patrons, Kieran O'Neill, Yannick Williams, Eric Hefk, Shahid Gonzalez, and Scott Druyan. Tomorrow night, you have what, KNT, right?
Yeah, KNT Chronicles tomorrow night with Trez on our Patreon at 10:15 New York time.
Yeah. Oliver Norgrove, one of our friends of the family, wanted our thoughts on Brian Alvarez. What do we think of Brian Alvarez? What do you think of Brian Alvarez?
I'm not a big fan of his. I mean, I go back, give him respect as a dirt sheet rider. I mean, someone, for some reason, tagged me the other day and tell me, isn't Brian Alvarez the GOAT of podcasting? I said, that's an opinion, not a fact. And I actually put you over, by the way, so you owe me one, DT. And Jason Solomon, so I says, you guys have been doing it as long as he has. I know him more as a sheet writer than I do as a podcaster. I don't know how long he's around, but I got into him well after I was already into everybody else, and we were doing our own thing before it was even called podcasting. As far as a writer goes and back working with the sheets like Observer and stuff, I thought he was pretty good. I think he got some good scoops. I know he's a wrestler himself on the independents. I don't know how old that dude is. He comes on. He looks young. I don't know if I think he's younger than us. He's got to be in his 40s, but he's been around a long time. I remember reading about him in the late 80s, early 90s. So as a podcast, I think he's okay. I think he's very anti-WWE. It's obvious he's AEW agenda. There's no doubt about that, and that's not me fanboying for WWE. Just listen to him. It's just everything about WWE aggravates him. He doesn't does he even put carrying crossover where everybody talks good about it? It seems like he has nothing nice to say about anything WWE related. So that to me, when I hear someone who clearly, listen, I'm not the biggest AEW fan, but I'll give them props when they deserve it. And they got some great talent there. That would be stupid of me to deny it. I'm not that much of a hater of anything. But I find his recent years of hating WWE to be annoying, and I find myself tuning out. I can't listen to biased podcasting. You got to be even keel, or why bother? That's just my opinion. And I think you and Jason are as much of the GOAT of this thing than he is. And that's honest. I'm being honest about that. I don't think he's the GOAT of anything.
I'll say this. By the way, thank you, everyone. Alvarez is 45, but okay. I'll say this. Yeah. I've been a fan of Meltzer for decades, and I don't mind Brian Alvarez at all. This is something I've said on Wednesdays, probably more than anything else. No one has a gun to anybody's head to read or hear the views of Brian Alvarez or Meltzer or anyone else out there. Brian Alvarez is very pro AEW. All right, AEW, and I got into this yesterday on Breakfast Soup with Mish a little bit on Patreon, that AEW has their format, the way they do things is more it's less storyline driven and more of just spectacles and almost like indie shows. Like when we go to indie shows, you really don't have too many real deep storylines, but you know, if you could hire this tag team and take on this tag team and have a tear it up great street fight with not too much of a storyline driven, that's the you know, what gets people entertained. You know, this is 2020, and a lot of wrestling has changed over the years. Some things, you know, like I said, I mean, before all the Joey Ryan controversy, and it's funny, I guess it's never meant to talk about Joey Ryan because we were going to talk about him today again, and unfortunately we're going to run out of time with that, so I'll do it Wednesday. But Mish and I yesterday had to talk about Joey Ryan and comparing him to Ron Jeremy with the accusations and the modus operandi and everything, so I'll get into that Wednesday.
Similar.
But the thing is that nobody has a gun to their head to even follow Alvarez on Twitter. And, you know, I don't understand if people don't like him that much, why do people care? I mean, I don't follow Wade Keller. I might mention him once every 2-3 years. You know, it's like I just ignore the people that I don't care about. They want to write dumb shit, or if they want to be extremely biased, then, you know, you just don't be bothered. That's how I look. I have no problem with Alvarez. But
if you didn't bring it up, I wouldn't have mentioned it. If I don't think I've ever tweeted about him ever.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you know, like, you know, people out there, if you don't like them, I would just ignore them. But I really don't have any problem with him. And for the last 4 or 5 minutes, everybody knows about the incident with Adam Cole, Pat McAfee last week. Talked about it on Friday. Adam Cole issued an apology. He said he had the weekend to think about everything. It's still hard to put in words. He said that if anybody he offended, he apologized. He represents a brand that commands respect. And he said that he's embarrassed by his reaction, even though McAfee kept pushing him. So he apologized. On Friday, I said, I don't believe a fucking word of it, and it's like the worked version of Jim Everett and Jim Rome from 1994. And Friday, I played that video, by the way. But then Triple H shows up on Pat McAfee's show today. And Triple H is apologizing for what Adam Cole said. And I'm saying to myself, he's a fucking independent contractor. He's doing an interview on Pat McAfee's show. He's not representing WWE. If you're an independent contractor, when you leave your business, you're not representing them anymore. And I think Triple H is, you know, doing that is kind of like testing the waters of possibly Pat McAfee stepping in the ring. When I say that I would pay to see Pat McAfee get his ass kicked, I don't mean in a wrestling match. I mean, let him fucking go down some dark alley street and run into an Antifa guy. I don't want to see him physically hurt, but this guy, I get nauseous. There's nothing about Pat McAfee that makes me want to see him have a match with Adam Cole. What's your take on that?
I mean, I know it was a work. I know Mish was writing to you the other day. He goes, "Come on, he's practically acting like it's an infomercial." I'm like, I'm working you. I know but it came off good. Adam Cole, I like seeing him like that, actually. I thought it came off well. Adam Cole maybe needed to do something like that. I don't know if they have a match or Pat McAfee, you know, and him literally have some sort of match at SummerSlam. I'm thinking there's got to be something. It's got to be, but DT, there's got to be something to that. Then why bother? Adam Cole's not turning babyface, and this guy's kind of a dick, McAfee, but he's not like a heelish guy. I mean, what's the payoff here? Why do that? I mean, or they just Adam Cole had an idea to do something like that? What's the payoff, DT?
I don't know what the payoff is. And a few people out there wanted to see the video of, let me see if I have it here. I think I do have it here. The video of Jim Everett and Jim Rome. I should have it here. Let me just check something. Is this it? No, that's not it. I don't think I have. Oh, wait. Maybe I do have it. Shit, if I would have known people wanted to see this, I would have had it queued up. Oh, yeah, I do have it. All right, here it is. All right, for everybody out there that never got a chance to see this, this is why I compare it to Jim Rome and Jim Everett from 1994. This only runs about a minute, but and the audio quality, unfortunately, this is the only audio that is available online of this video clip. For something this infamous, it blows me away that people don't have a better version of it, but here you go.
It's Jim. Good to have you on the show.
Good to be here, Jim. Thank you.
Check that. Chris Everett. Good to have you on the show.
You know what? You've been calling me that for about the last 5 years.
About 2 years, actually, Chris.
Well,
somewhere along the way, Jim, you ceased being Jim and you became Chris.
Well, let me tell you a little secret. That, we're sitting here right now, and if you guys want to take a station break, you can. But if you call me Chris Everett to my face one more time...
I already did it twice.
You call it one more time, we better take a station break.
Well, it's a 5-minute segment. Our 5-segment show. We got a long way to go.
Well, we do.
We got a long way to go.
We do.
I'll get a couple segments out of you.
Well, it's good to be here with you, though.
Well, it's good to see you,
because
too.
you've been talking like this behind my back for a long time.
But now I said it right here.
Right, exactly.
Well, we got no problems then.
I think that you probably won't say it again.
I bet I do.
Okay.
Chris?
That's awesome.
Yeah, there you go. So, like I said, I think that was the attempt to recreate that. I'm not buying it. I don't think it's good. It will get some publicity. Pat McAfee has a very big show. You might be surprised how many people actually tune into his show. But it's I'm not buying it. I mean, there's always the chance that it was a legit confrontation, but I don't understand Triple H apologizing on McAfee's show 2 days later, a couple of days later. I thought that was just a dumb move on that part. It makes me think that the whole thing is bullshit.
So no match with McAfee?
I don't want to see McAfee versus...
You might not want to see it, but you think they'll do it?
I think they're testing the waters right now to see what kind of buzz it gets. Why would you have Adam Cole take that much of a step down and face a punter that has no wrestling? You know what I mean? Like, you're talking about the guy that's arguably the wrestler of 2019, and you're going to put him in a novelty match with Pat McAfee? That just doesn't make sense to me.
What team was McAfee?
I have no idea.
I
could care less about that guy.
What team was he on?
I have
Chat
no
room,
clue.
help us out. Who do you play for? I'm just curious. Colts. Thank you.
Yeah, that guy. Just
I don't know a lot about him. I honestly
he
don't know
does
a lot
nothing
about
for
him.
me. Nothing. I don't know what the purpose this was, to be honest with you. But hey, we'll see what happens. It just if that's all they got for Adam Cole right now, let the rumors of him to AEW begin again, in my opinion.
Okay.
So, with that said, everyone,
Yes.
tomorrow night you got Impact Wrestling. I gave a little preview on Friday. AEW Dark tomorrow has 12 matches. Orange Cassidy versus Serpentico, Lance Archer versus Frankie Thomas. Abaddon returns for everybody who wanted to see her, taking on Skylar Moore. Scorpio Sky versus Corey Hollis. Penelope Ford versus Kenzie Page. Wardlow versus Aaron Solo. Sammy Guevara versus Fuego del Sol. Michael Nakazawa and Pineapple Pete versus Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela. Expect that to be uber comedic. Will Hobbs and Sean Dean versus Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. Best Friends versus Alex Reynolds and John Silver. Brandon Cutler and Peter Avalon versus FTR. And SCU versus Santana Ortiz. And Ortiz versus Private Party. Interesting. SCU versus Private Party versus Santana and Ortiz. That could be a main event on Dynamite. They have it on Dark.
It's on Dark. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so nice. Look, they have a second show done. They have a done deal to do a second show, but they're just waiting for COVID to blow over to actually start doing it, the right way on cable. So it's not going to happen now, but, this is a little, starting to put some bigger names on there, and it's going to segue onto cable TV. So, cool. Any final thoughts before we go?
No, just tomorrow night again, reminder, sign up for our Patreon now at Don Tony. And check out KNT Chronicles tomorrow with me and Lady Trez. If you haven't heard the show, I'm sure you'll dig it. We talk about everything on that show, so we'll cover wrestling and whatever else is in the news. And come and join us. And thanks, DT. Thanks, YouTube. Thank you, Discord. And I'll check you tomorrow.
Sounds good. Take
Peace.
it easy. All right, everyone. I'm out of here. You know, it's interesting. It says 2 hours and 5 minutes. And like I said, these got to stay under 2 hours from now on because of YouTube's crazy processing when it goes over 2 hours. But I don't know, because of those gaps with the power going out before, the internet going out, I don't know if that cuts down on the time. It usually just pauses it. So I'm going to be really curious to see how YouTube handles this extra 5 or 6 minutes. So if it causes a 5-minute cutoff for days, next week from now on, 2 hours or less, we're in the middle of a conversation and it hits 2 hours, sorry. It's going to be like old Nitro episodes. We got to go. We're out of time. We're off the air. But don't forget, everybody, Wednesday night, right here, right after NXT, right after AEW, I will be here for Wednesday Night Dynamite. Good to finally talk about Joey Ryan. In fact, I'm probably going to have to open with Joey Ryan. People have been asking me, please, talk about all the accusations. Well, I'm only going to spend 5 minutes on it. But I'm going to explain to everyone why I feel how I feel towards what he's doing. So, we're out of time. We got to go. But everyone, much love as always. Thank you for making this so much fun to do. Like I said, I don't want to beat a dead horse, and I know you're all sick of hearing me say this, but you do this for 23 years. After a while, you do need another challenge, or you have to walk away. Find a new hobby to do. And I was this close of just walking away from wrestling shows, and it's tidy. And what's sad about it is I got a couple of friends of mine that were doing wrestling podcasts and stopped this year because of just, a culmination of things. And I know some existing shows that are drifting slowly away from pro wrestling. So, doing the video thing was definitely a new challenge, and it's fun. Being able to, visually talk to everybody has been a crazy challenge. Never in a million years would I ever think in 6 months we would get almost 15,000 people here. And yeah, I admit it, about 75% of the people who check out the shows only check out audio only. That will be changed January 1st, 2021. I promise you all that. It's not a threat or anything, but for everybody out there that always compares my channel to other channels out there, just keep in mind that those channels have one option, and that's YouTube. Mine, there's about 10 options. So got to start cutting those options down to maybe 1 or 2. Then we'll talk numbers, everybody. But hey, the bottom line is, if you enjoy what I'm doing here, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. Keep spreading the word. Before you go, if you could give the show a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. Doesn't cost anything as far as I'm aware of it. And subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. It costs nothing. I was even going to do the membership things early this year, and I'm like, nah, we don't want to have to make anybody pay for anything over here. But subscribe, definitely. Spread the word. Let everybody know. Yours truly is on video. So, all right, much love, everybody. I'm out of here, and I'll catch you all Wednesday for Wednesday Night Dynamite. Be well. Take care. Ciao.
Son, oh my.
It was fun to channel surf. It was kind of hard to do a little pocket pool after you hitting the last channel button 50 times for 2 hours plus.
Son, oh my.
And his whole idea of overanalyzing, oh, he's an alcoholic and he misplaced the belt. And how could you have someone champion like that? The fuck out of here.
Wednesday night.
Dynamite. You can have fun. You really are.